The Sport International Basketball Channel series, The Blueprint About Playing Basketball Overseas.
Receiving a contract is an exciting time. There's often the temptation to go ahead and sign the contract as quickly as possible without knowing what to look for to be safe. But you want to know, what are the red flags? The first step should be to watch my video about scams to eliminate losing money, or if you realize the scam too late, you will miss your opportunities. To detect a scam is not always easy. The scammers are often very experienced. Also, I get requests that are deceptively genuine with email addresses that contain the club name and have a professional text. Since I know the club representatives, I can tell them about the scam on their behalf. Professional sport contracts can be complex and include many specific terms and clauses. In this video, you will learn all the details you need to pay attention to. It can be challenging to recognize the risk associated with some clauses. After this video, you will understand why misinterpretation of terms with minor alterations in the provisions and clauses of a contract can result in adverse consequences, and how to avoid inconveniences. Before signing a contract, you should thoroughly read and understand the terms and conditions of the agreement. Make sure that you are aware of all of your rights and obligations under this contract. It is important to verify that any promises or guarantees made by the other party are included in the contract. You may want to consult an attorney or other legal professional to ensure that the contract is fair and legally binding. Additionally, it is a good idea to ensure that you are aware of any deadlines or contingencies that may be included in the contract and that you are able to meet them. Let me start with my checklist for you. Be aware that clubs are asking players to give up rights by adding behavior directions, by giving up personal rights to your image, add restrictions on external communication, reducing social benefits, up to waiving rights which are protected by law. An important clause are the terms during a disaster or other unforeseen circumstances. The sudden onset of COVID-19, the global pandemic, has brought forth a wave of force majeure in contracts, where the terms and conditions of the contracts were rendered non-compliable. You have to adopt international laws and overlook the business regulations as well as the laws of the countries you will play in, or ensure that your advisor or agent is able to check that the contract is legally binding and that it complies with all relevant laws and regulations. Check if the terms on settling a contract are defined. How are penalties for non-compliance regulated? Is a BAT clause in the contract? Differences and ensuring compliance can also be handled by arbitration and not in the court of the country. In my BAT video, I will explain the benefits. Another key step is to check both your obligations and the obligations of the other party. For example, the payment terms or under which circumstances you or the other party can terminate the contract. It is important to check if the person signing the contract is a legally authorized representative of the club for this purpose. Ensure that the contract is fair for both parties and that all terms are reasonable. Be aware of any deadlines or contingencies included in the contract and make sure that you are able to meet them. Almost all contracts start with a defined tryout period that gives both parties the opportunity to check each other out. During the tryout period, the team can send you home and you can leave at any time. After the tryout period, the contract is guaranteed. You and the team need to fulfill the contract from that time on. Many contracts are specifying the player salary terms and any bonuses that may be earned for performance or other achievements. Some clubs do not do performance bonuses to ensure team play. The contract can include a buyout clause which allows either the team or the player to terminate the contract early, subject to certain conditions. The contract can include a no-trade clause, which prevents a team from trading the player without his consent, or a limited no-trade clause, which restricts the team from trading the player to a specific list of teams. The contract can include clauses that protect the team or the player in the event of injury. For example, a club may have the option to terminate the contract if the player is unable to play for a prolonged period of time due to injury. You are at a high risk, which can end your career or significantly reduce your earning potential. Therefore, it is important to include this case. The contract can include a clause that allows you to retire from the sport and still be paid a certain amount of money, or a clause that allows a team to terminate the contract if you retire. The contract may include a clause related to the player agent. Understand the terms of payment and compensation, including any penalties for non-compliance. A fitness, a drug test, and a medical checkup is part of every contract. Be familiar with the World Anti-Doping Code, WADC, because on a regular basis players do not pass these tests. Ensure you have an agent who always acts in your best interest and not on his. Let me go over some other important facts. Overseas basketball is a buyer's market. There are more available players than there are procurable contracts. So club can be meticulous and make take it or leave it offers to players who often take such offers for fear of being left with nothing, in turn driving down salaries for all. Some leagues have standard contracts and negotiated agreements get added to the contract. In many pro leagues, the contract has to be sent to the league admin office. The process from the final offer until the final signature tends to take days or even over a week to complete. In some cases, where the team really wants you or a deadline is approaching, you or your agent can receive a contract in a matter of hours or less than a day from the team, and you only have a few hours to decide. You better have a great agent in this case who can give you advice. Working visas are necessary. In most cases, the club asks you for the necessary information and have you sign some documents and gets a visa for you. In some cases, you have to acquire in your state a visa from the embassies or consulate of the country you will play in. This often results in having a contract but can't start it because you did not get the visa at all or in time. A visa is basically a long-term staying permission with a work permit for a foreign country. It is important for you to be aware of all these associated risks and that you take the necessary steps to protect yourself.